we initiate chaos. Theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots, sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only waits us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Napoleon another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All about the Betty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Betty Express. In a beautiful darkness.
Good morning, everyone. We are starting later, so hopefully we can zoom past, the defense's cross, in whatever form it is, for the ballistic guy. So we will go up to 1.2. We'll go to 1.25 and then speed it up when Ponytail is here or is crossing. And play Mad Libs that were created by myself and ChatGPT for this case. And we are awaiting, rapper shame number 11.
All rise for the court of final session. The Honorable Judge Mark Lemby presiding.
Good morning, please be seated. Morning. So here's my question for the day. Anybody here ever use Airborne? Use it? Okay, from the people that have used it, do they think it works? Some. Okay. I don't want to, be an advertisement against something, but I just was wondering if I'm the only one it's not working for as much as it should.
What is it?
I got to work on it. Airborne it's like a vitamin C. You put it into a tablet. If you guys see me up here drinking pink stuff,
Yes.
It's not like lemonade or anything else. It's
I am the princess. For some reason, the comments aren't showing up. StreamYard seems to be having all of the, hiccups today. I did send Nick an invite, but, he does have a real job, so he will be joining as he can.
all right. Yeah, no, it's not an alcoholic drink, just so that we're clear.
At this point, Judge, for your sanity and mine, I think that you should probably be drinking at this point. One of us should be having a fun time.
But just keeping us moving along. All right, I digress. This is State of New Jersey versus Paul Caneiro. It's indictment 19-02-0283. Can I have the appearances of counsel for the record?
Your Honor, Assistant Prosecutor Nicole Wallace on behalf of the state.
Good morning, Judge Chris Decker, Assistant County Prosecutor.
What in all the know? Who is dressing Paul? We've got Sergeant Pepper from the White Album. We've got Ponytail Esquire Tristan III. And then we've got Paul, who escaped from Dracula in Office Space. I feel like what in the hell is going on? I still stick with my original thesis statement. His wife hates him, and she is picking his outfits to make him guiltier.
Good morning, Your Honor. Monica Mastellone, attorney on behalf of Mr. Paul Caneiro, Vice President.
Good morning, Andy Murray from Paul Caneiro.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Caneiro. Okay, we are going to continue with the cross-examination. Detective Sergeant Christopher Clayton.
Now, we should be far enough ahead.
Sir, you're still under oath from yesterday, okay?
Sure.
All right, you can take a seat. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Judge. All right, good morning, sir. Good morning. So, just to 17, 2018. These were all.
Good Lord.
These are
It goes
actually
on
all
after the break,
comparisons.
too?
Like one
No,
bullet
God,
to the
no.
other. And the ones dated November 28th, 2018. You're not sure whether those are Fiocchi?
The state called Dr. Lauren Thomas.
Okay, wait. Just making sure. Did we have any cross? Okay, we had some cross. Let's.
Can see the difference.
Correct, sir.
Okay. But there was still two 9mm Luger pistols, right?
Correct.
And both had a right twist.
Correct.
And there was a 9mm Walter pistol
Gigi, I have no
that had a
idea.
right twist.
Correct.
And obviously, in the absence of knowing anything further, any one of those weapons could have fired the cartridges in the case, right?
No, not the Walter, sir.
Because you eliminated the Walter.
Correct.
You eliminated the Walter based on, it looks like a comparison to specimen 25?
No, 25 was, yes, because the landing groove impressions, the width was different.
And
Except the class elimination.
The 25 was a
Thank
bullet
you,
fragment,
GT.
right?
Correct, sir.
And 25 you had compared to,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
You couldn't determine whether 25 was fired by the same weapon as those other ones or not.
Yes, sir.
But you knew that those
Thanks,
other ones,
science.
those 5 other ones, were all fired by the same weapon.
Correct.
So 25 were the microscope, the one that you used to as actually being like in kind to the others collected. It can't be compared to the others conclusively. The Walter at that point could or could 25 to eliminate the Walter, right?
Yes, based off of class characteristics,
Right,
yes.
but 25 is inconclusive as to the being like or unlike from the other bullets.
It was inconclusive to the other bullets,
Which you
correct.
matched
It is
to each
too
other,
early to talk
right?
about barrel
And
length.
those bullets, we don't know if, we don't know based on just 25, right, whether they would have been inclusions or exclusions from the Walter.
No, they would have been excluded from the Walter.
And 25 is the inconclusive bullet in that range of bullets, right?
25 to those 4 bullets are what we're talking about, yes, that's inconclusive.
Right.
But both are eliminated to the Walter.
But your report specifically says, so I understand this, that 25 is the one that you used to eliminate the Walter.
Okay, chat. For our first Mad Libs to give the defense, so the ChatGPT kind of made the first story that we're going to do broken down into 3 parts, and it's going to be how Paul is just a normal guy. It's in fact going to fix the opening statement. So the first thing that we're going to need is an adjective. I have my handy dandy notebook and my plank of wood across my chair so I can use my notebook. But yes, we have all the Mad Libs. I was like, would it be in poor taste to have Mad Libs? No, you haven't missed much, Denise. My comments are not working on showing up, so I won't be able to pull them up, but I will be working with the chat. I just don't know what in the Hades is going on with it. Seems like a StreamYard problem, and I mean, honestly, isn't that every day that ends with Y here lately? Crying, I like it.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank God he closed his binder.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Redirect.
Yeah. Sergeant Clayton, just
Okay, we'll need a hobby, something that we would imagine Paul doing, or something that we want to make fun of and imagine he does.
I don't think I heard it yesterday. I don't think I heard it today. Just to be clear, you never testified that the silencer was actually used in this case, correct?
Correct, sir.
Did you actually identify marks on the silencer?
Yes, sir.
On test firing bullets through the silencer?
Yes, sir.
Were there marks on those bullets?
Yes, sir.
And were they on the bullets that were located at the crime scene or at the autopsy from 15 Willowbrook?
Polka dancing. I
So
like
you're not
it.
saying the silencer was used, correct?
No, sir, I don't know.
You're saying it just could fit on that barrel.
Correct.
Now, 25. New Jersey State
Now
Police
we
item
need
number
a
25.
noun.
That was something that was inconclusive.
Person, place, or thing, but it. Okay, we'll have Portillo's potties or porta potty as the noun because I like it. And now we need a verb ending in ing.
Inclusive in compared with the other bullets that were found in Colston, correct?
Correct.
And I think, if you need your report to refresh your recollection, item number 25 from the state police, you indicated it had a right-hand twist. Is that accurate?
Howdy,
Yes, sir.
Snipe.
Were you able to determine the number of lands and grooves?
No, sir.
Okay. So is that why it's inconclusive?
So it's inconclusive. There's just, again, microscopically, there's just a lack of tool marks on there. So when I'm comparing them to the other bullet specimens,
Something
it's
we know
inconclusive.
Paul never
There's
did.
there's not enough tool marks on there to make any type of
Now we need
either a positive
another
or
noun.
elimination.
But I will write down
And
small.
item number 25, just to be clear, I'm going to show you S349 for identification. Item number 25, where does that come from?
notice here. I left my glasses in the car. But yeah, this is a bullet fragment removed from the head of Jennifer Caneiro at autopsy.
Okay, so that's a fragment, correct?
Correct, sir.
Now, I just want to be clear. Did you say the Fiocchi ammunition that you used with the GFL 10 9x19 headstand, did you say that was common or less common?
I'd say less common, sir.
Okay. But that ammunition that we're talking about that you were ultimately provided by the prosecutor's office, that came from ultimately the basement of 27 building in Ocean Township, right?
I believe so. It says it on that package, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, you're relying on information you're provided. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
With
We
that
need a plural.
Fiocchi less common ammunition with that same head stamp, GFL 10 9x19, is also the same cartridge cases that are found at 15 Willowbrook in Colts Neck, correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Judge, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Cross.
Two questions. So, based on the prosecutor's redirect, what I understand you saying is that your conclusion would be, in terms of the bullets found at the Colts Neck scene, those bullets were not fired through the silencer.
I don't believe so, sir.
They didn't have the same markings, right?
Correct.
So your conclusion is, those bullets at that scene, not fired through the silencer.
I didn't have a conclusion on that. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't believe it was, but I didn't come to a definite conclusion that either it was or it wasn't.
Okay.
I don't know, sir.
You didn't conclude it was, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, does the state police in general look to the
Come on,
Monmouth County
Cletus.
Prosecutor's Office as a supplier of rare ammunition?
No.
I'm just going to object. This has been asked and answered. It's just,
I have
Okay. The question is being withdrawn, I assume then. So, sir, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our mid-morning break. Before we start our next witness, we'll start back up at about 10:20. Thank you. Don't discuss this case. Don't do any research. Mr. Decker, a little help?
Okay, so we got to miss most of Cross, which is helpful because I don't think we missed much.
Have a good break. Feeling strong?
All right, we need a plural noun and a suspicious action. I mean, that outfit is suspicious. What are you eating, Paul?
Doctor, just watch your step, please. Hate to do it to you, but once you're ready, if you could just stand up for me. But take your time. Left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Okay. I do solemnly. Now I just forgot the whole part of it.
I do solemnly swear I'm up to no
Do you
good.
affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I affirm.
Okay, thank you so much. You can be seated. Can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
My full name is Dr. Lauren Toma. My last name is spelled Thoma.
Okay. Great. Prosecutor?
Dr. Toma, where are you employed?
I am employed by the Middlesex Regional Medical Examiner's Office.
And what is your title?
So as of the beginning of this year, I'm now the acting chief medical examiner.
Now, what does the Middlesex Regional County Medical's Office, or Medical Examiner's Office cover? What particular counties?
So we're physically located in Middlesex County, but we have shared services agreement.
This is, of all the days that I decide to bring Cosplay Wednesday back, I didn't feel comfortable doing it during Uvalde. And of all the Wednesdays to bring it back, like every other day, I have anticipated this woman to be a witness. Daggone it. Again, this is totally a personal problem and not anyone's thing, nor is it a big deal, but was I aware that this witness was going to be this witness? No, I wasn't. But to shift to a more, less funny, I probably will stop Mad Libs during this testimony. And will remind you guys that we are probably going to get into testimony of child victims sometime in the day. And I will do a breakdown since we are current with the trial at the end of my final stream today. The typical 15-20 minutes where I'll just try to give you a rundown of what happened in a not so graphic way if you guys don't want to deal with this testimony, because this is going to be that testimony that I've been warning you about. So do be sure to make sure that you're taking care of your own mental health, take breaks, and if you can't join today, if this is going to be too hard, we can catch up tomorrow, or I can try to put on, X when I start the second afternoon stream. If we're done with this witness, I will try to put that out there at the start of the stream as well. But do be mindful that these were horrific attacks, especially on the children. So take care of yourselves, you guys.
Agreements with Monmouth County and Mercer County.
And what specifically do you do there?
So first and foremost, I am a forensic pathologist employed as a medical examiner, which means I investigate sudden, unexpected, or unnatural deaths that fall into certain categories under New Jersey state statute. Now with my role, I was the deputy chief from 2018 until beginning of this year. So I had more of a management oversight, and now I'm the head honcho.
Doctor, I'm going to approach you with S-376. Judge, may I approach? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
It is a copy of my slightly outdated CV now.
Can you please provide the jury with the benefit of your educational background?
Sure. I completed a bachelor's degree in biology at Wilson College in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. I then undertook a medical degree at it's called Jefferson Medical College when I went there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I completed a 4-year pathology residency in both anatomic and clinical pathology at the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. I then moved to New York City and completed 2-year-long fellowships. The first was in forensic pathology, and then the second was in
I am taking
forensic cardiac.
her down to normal speed just because she does have that quaver in her voice that sounds like she's getting ready to cry when she's sped up. So taking her down so she doesn't already sound like she's getting ready to cry. I'm doing well, Sebastian, except for the comments not working on StreamYard, but it is a very small, teeny tiny problem. So, well, there you go.
Pathology and
That's a good.
neuropathology.
Now, can you summarize your employment history, starting chronologically, if you could?
Sure. So I was initially hired as an assistant medical examiner at the Northern Regional Medical Examiner's Office in Newark, New Jersey. I was there for approximately 2 years before being hired by Middlesex County in September of 2014, when it was a single county office.
Doctor, what is your medical specialty?
So my medical specialty is forensic pathology, but I also have
Good
board
morning,
certifications
Debbie.
not only in forensic pathology, but anatomic and clinical pathology, which is my primary specialty.
Now, your certification for forensic pathology, what did that entail?
So for any certification, board certification process, you have to complete a certain number of training years.
Howdy, JK.
And then you sit for and ultimately pass a day-long examination.
Now, are you a member of any professional organizations?
Yes, I'm a member of the National Association of Medical Examiners, the American Academy of Forensic Science, and the Society for Cardiovascular Pathology.
Now, what is the number of years that you've worked in your profession?
So if you count my fellowship, where I was performing autopsies in the same manner that I'm doing now, it's been coming up on 16 years.
Can you tell us what forensic pathology is?
So to back up.
Yes, UK Anton, yes it is. Chat isn't showing up on StreamYard, so I will be interacting with chat in the chat, but I can't pull it up because doggone it. But yeah, basically this could have been a plea deal.
Pathology itself is a study of the understanding of the causes and the diagnosis of human disease. Forensic pathology specifically deals with sudden, unexpected, or unnatural deaths.
possible for you to estimate the number of autopsies that you've performed in the course of your career?
I've performed over 2,500 autopsies.
And have you ever testified in court with respect to your conclusions and outcomes?
Yes, I have.
And how many times is that?
This will be number 70.
What jurisdictions did you testify in?
So for New York State, it was New York County, which is Manhattan, as well as Kings County, which is Brooklyn. When I was at the Northern Regional Office, I testified in Essex County, Somerset County, and Hudson County.
No, go ahead.
And, sorry, the 3 counties here, Middlesex, Monmouth, and Mercer.
Were you qualified as an expert in those instances in which you testified?
Yes.
And specifically an expert in what?
An expert in forensic pathology.
How many times did you qualify?
Every time.
Judge, at this time, the state offers Dr. Choma as an expert in forensic pathology and the determination of matter and tests.
No objection. I apologize. I didn't mean to speak for Mr. Murray.
We don't have an objection.
If you have an objection,
Oh my God, Kim K and Tristan Esquire the third douchebag Tony Ponytail. Can you two have your confabs at home when you're picking out who's going to be the girl today? Because honestly, good God, you two waste more damn time.
you can, even if she doesn't.
No, I understand.
Can the audience object? Can we mother effing object at this point? Because this is a crime against logic and thought. This is a crime against critical thought, and this is a crime against meritocracy. This defense is anathema to working hard and getting the job because you're good at it.
But we don't have it.
Okay, great, thanks. All right. Who's going to read it? I'll do it. All right. Normally, a witness cannot testify to an opinion. However, an exception to this rule exists in the case of an expert witness who may give an opinion as to any matter in which they are versed. In legal terminology, an expert witness is a witness who has some special knowledge, skill, experience, or training that is not possessed by the ordinary juror, and who thus may be able to provide assistance to the jury in understanding the evidence presented and determine the facts in the case. You're not bound by such expert's opinion, but you should consider the opinion and give it the weight to which you deem it is entitled, whether that be great or slight, or you may reject it. In examining an expert's opinion, you may consider the reasons given for it, if any, and you may also consider the qualifications and credibility of the expert. It is always within the special function of the jury.
What in the sad Sarah McLachlan outfit is this early 90s debacle? This is like when you were edgy or trying to be edgy, but still wanted to watch Phil Hartman. I give up.
To determine whether the facts on which the answer or testimony of the expert is based actually exist. The value or weight of the opinion of the expert is dependent upon and is no stronger than the facts on which it is based. In other words, the probative value of the opinion will depend upon whether from all of the evidence in the case you find that those facts are true. You may in fact determine from the evidence in the case that the facts that form the basis of the opinion are true, not true, or true in part. And in light of such findings, you should decide what effect such determination has upon the weight to be given to the opinion of the expert. Your acceptance or rejection of the expert opinion will depend, therefore, to some extent on your findings as to the truth of the facts relied upon. You and you alone are the sole fact finders in this case. You must be persuaded solely by the evidence presented at trial when determining whether the state has satisfied its burden. As the sole judges of the facts, you are to determine the credibility of the various witnesses as well as the weight to be afforded to their testimony to determine whether the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt all the elements of the crimes charged. With that being said, prosecutor, you can go ahead. The court is accepting this witness as an expert in forensic pathology and the determination in manner and cause of death.
Finally.
Doctor, the term autopsy and the term post-mortem examination, are those essentially synonymous terms?
Postmortem examination encompasses exams where we just do an external examination. We don't need to proceed with an internal examination, but autopsy does fall under that broad header.
Now, in the present case, State of New Jersey versus Paul Caneiro, did you have occasion to perform any autopsies?
Yes, I performed autopsies on Jesse Caneiro and Jennifer Caneiro.
I would like to first address your autopsy with regard to Jennifer Caneiro. Did you document your exam in a report?
Yes, we prepare a report for every postmortem examination that we complete.
And does that report include a body diagram?
The report itself does not include that, but I create a body diagram in the autopsy suite.
So this is interesting. I have only seen in one other case, fortunately, where the state used two different medical examiners. Maybe they did this because they understood that child autopsies were harder and wanted to split that up. Um, it could also be that Jennifer's autopsy is probably going to be more involved because she was so heavily, well, had such heavy burn injuries that getting information and figuring out what actually happened to her was going to be a much more difficult case. I don't know, but I do like sort of spreading this out and not having one person, even though they've done all the training to do the job, take these more difficult cases.
To aid with creating the report.
I'm going to approach with S378.
Defense. This is how you wear a funky jacket. Look, she has a black shell dress that, or maybe a long sleeve sheath. It's not flashy. The length accentuates her body and makes her look taller. I don't know what high school marching band you decided to steal wardrobe from, but Sergeant Pepper would like all of his looks back.
I'm going to ask you if you recognize this.
I do.
And what is that?
So this is a copy of my autopsy report. It's bearing my signature and the date of February 1st, 2019. There's also a copy of the toxicology report, as well as the investigator's report, and copies of the diagrams I generated in the autopsy suite.
Now, the date on the report, that February date, is that the date you actually conducted the autopsy of Jennifer?
Jesse.
Jesse, I'm sorry. Did I give you the?
Oh, you gave it Jesse.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'd like to discuss Jennifer first. But let me ask you, does the date?
And I actually like the state for doing this. I think as horrific as Jennifer's thermal injuries and imagining a mother protecting her children, getting cut down, it is, of all of them, save Keith, probably the easiest one to start with for the jury. And I do appreciate how the state has, started this case as financial and then worked their way up to kind of explaining and detailing more of what actually happened in the crime to kind of ease the jury into it. We really didn't have that in Uvalde, and I really very much like this particular setup and strategy much better. I think it's much more respectful of not only the victims, but the jury.
That you have on your report, does that reflect the date that you actually conducted the autopsy, or was it done at some different date?
Let me just make sure that all the pages that I spoke of before are here. They are.
Doctor, what's the exhibit number on that one?
This is S.
Ooh, can we go back there? I love that my ADHD is trying to avoid the difficult topic that's going to be coming up. But can we notice that the court clerk has a velvet damn blazer on? A blue velvet blazer. I am impressed and jealous.
They are.
Doctor, what's the exhibit number on that one?
This is S377.
Okay, great, thank you.
So, no, the date of examination was November 21st, 2018, and the majority of my report is generated at that time, including the internal and external examination. We wait until the results of all of our testing, including toxicology testing or other ancillary tests, are received before we incorporate those findings into our report, and then the date at the bottom is when the report is finalized.
Now, in your report, let me ask you, what was the age of Jennifer?
So I was told that her age was 45.
I'd like to draw your attention specifically, and they're not numbered, but it's going to be page number 17 of that report, specifically the body diagram. Do you have that
And
I
you
do.
are welcome, Grady Smith. Thank you for being a member. I will pull it up as soon as it pops up.
The body diagram is something that I use during the autopsy to make notations of my observations, both external and internal.
Are you making those notations as you go along with your examination?
Yes.
Now, is there a protocol that you routinely follow when you perform an autopsy?
So every case that gets reported to our office is assigned a unique identifier number, and that is used to label all of the case documentation as well as photographs. So in this case, it's 13-18-1299. 13 is the code for Monmouth County. It's the New Jersey counties in alphabetical order. 2018, the last two digits of the year, and the last number means that this is the 1,299th death report we got from Monmouth County in the year 2018. So you'll see that identifying number on all of the documentation. So once I am given, as we know, a case is coming into the office, in this particular case, x-rays were ordered before. We look at those before we go in and do an exam. Then we proceed stepwise through the exam process. That is the same basic process for all the cases we do.
And the x-rays, what is the importance of that?
So we generally order x-rays in a routine panel of cases. Any case that is charred or there's penetrating trauma, or child deaths, or people who may not be visually recognizable.
Now, can you explain to us the protocol that you follow when you perform an autopsy, as you just discussed, starting with how the body is received?
So the body is received in a sealed body bag with a unique case number that is photographed for documentation of chain of custody purposes. Then the seal is broken, and we do what's called our first round photographs, which is a documentation of exactly how the body is received.
And just for a reminder, Jennifer was located near the front door, kind of very close to the basement steps that were thoroughly burned through, where the fire from the basement had started to infiltrate up. So that very, very charred area right by the front door, that is where Jennifer was found. So she was beyond recognition at the scene.
In the office. The next step is to remove any clothing that's present, any debris or fluids, to get a clean view of any injuries or any identifying features of the body. And we take photographs at that step. Those are called our second round photographs. While my technicians are helping prepare the body, remove clothing, I am documenting things such as hair color, eye color, height, weight, tattoos, scars, anything that could be important for identifying later on.
After that, is there an external exam that happens?
Yes, that's the general basic items that I just described documenting. I will also note if there's any signs of external injury or any signs of external natural disease.
When you write your report, how do you go about documenting any injuries that you find?
So if a report, in this case, there are a significant amount of findings on the external examination, I will give those injuries a letter designation, which matches what's on my diagram and in my report, just to keep myself straight. Then I will proceed with following those wound paths and other findings in the body itself during the internal examination. And then when I write my report, I take each individual injury, starting from the outside to the inside, and group them separately.
Now, when you do your external exam, are you also noting any potential post-mortem changes that occurred?
Yes.
And what kinds of things are those?
That could be rigor mortis, or stiffening of the body's muscles after death. Lividity, or lever mortis, which is pooling of the body's blood in response to gravity, as well as temperature, cooling of the body after death.
After the external exam, what happens next?
So then we perform an internal examination, which is a review of all of the body's cavities and organs, from the cranial vault to the chest, abdomen, and pelvis.
And you mentioned toxicology. Are there times when you take toxicology? Does that happen all the time? Just if you could tell us about that.
So we take toxicology samples in the vast majority of our autopsies. It's up in the 90%. Homicides, it's 100% if we're able to get a sample.
And how do you do that specifically? Where does that come from?
So generally, we take blood from the femoral vein externally through a venipuncture, but depending on the condition of the remains, we may have to seek other sources. So we start peripherally from the legs, from the arms, move more towards centrally. So blood from the heart, blood from the chest cavities. So it just depends on the nature of the case.
Are there times when a DNA sample is taken from a victim or a body?
So we prepare what are called blood spot cards on every case that comes in, autopsy and external, and we retain those.
Now, the procedure that you just told us about that you follow when you conduct your autopsies, were you able to follow that procedure in Jennifer's particular case?
So in Jennifer's case, a lot of the external examination was obscured, the normal external features, by the extensive charring of her body. So I was unable to see any residual hair, any eye color, any identifying scars or marks, fingernail length. There was extensive fire damage to the outside of her body. This made documenting the injuries during the external exam more difficult, because I didn't appreciate a lot of them until I did the internal examination, because that external appearance had been obscured by the fire damage.
Now, was there any clothing or personal items collected from Jennifer's body?
No, there were no, I don't know if she was unclad, but there were no clothing remnants that was received with her remains.
Were Jennifer's hands covered in white retention bags?
Yes, any suspected homicide or other suspicious cases, we cover hands and sometimes feet, depending on the case, with what we call white evidence retention bags. This just protects any potential trace evidence that is in the hands that might be disrupted during transport to our office.
Now, were any fingerprints or nail clippings able to be obtained from Jennifer?
So again, due to the extensive thermal injuries, she both exhibited pugilistic posturing, which is the drawing of the arms up in response to the heat shortening of the flexor muscles.
So essentially, if you come across a person who has passed away in a fire, they kind of curl up into the fetal position because of temperature changes. Now, the mercy is that we are going to learn further on in this testimony, and we do know from the opening statement that Jennifer had already passed away when all the fire damage happened. I believe that we're going to learn, and I'm remembering from opening statement, that the bullet wound to her brain instantly took her life, or very nearly instantly. So if there is a small mercy, it is that she was gone before the fire.
She also had heat fractures of the hands, so her hand bones were exposed and charred, and her fingerprints, the skin of the fingerprints was, or the fingertips was unable to be printed. It was too damaged.
The post-mortem changes that you discussed that you will look for during an external examination, such as lividity and rigor mortis, were you able to observe those in this particular case?
So yes, referring to my report on page number 2, this is on the autopsy report. So again, because of that pugilistic posturing, I can't assess the actual rigor mortis that's from the decomposition process because it's obscured by these heat changes. I was able to see very faint purple fixed lividity on the remaining intact skin of her torso. She had very little skin just on the back that was not damaged by the fire.
Now, I'd like to discuss the injuries that you noted in your report, starting with number 1, which is the thermal injuries. Now, you've discussed your findings just now with regard to that, but I'd like to draw your attention to the part of your report under that section where it says there is no soot in the airways. Did you see that?
Yes.
All right. How were you able to make that determination?
So when I remove the airways, including from the tongue intact with the trachea and the bronchi and the lungs, I open up the back of those airways and I look with my eye to see if there's any black soot-type material that might be deposited in the airway.
Did that mean anything to you, the fact that there was no soot in the airways in regards to this case?
So it's a soft finding that indicates the person may not have been breathing at the time of their death, but it's not conclusive. We submit additional testing to determine if that's the case.
So was there another test that was performed to determine whether or not there was smoke inhalation with regard to Jennifer?
Yes, as part of a comprehensive toxicology panel, a carbon monoxide test was ordered. So carbon monoxide binds to the protein in your blood called hemoglobin that carries oxygen from your lungs out to your tissues of your body. Carboxyhemoglobin binds to hemoglobin much tighter than oxygen itself, so you become unable to deliver oxygen to your tissues via your bloodstream. And the percentage that's given is the results given in a percentage. It's 8% in this case. That just means of 100 hemoglobin molecules, 8% of those had carbon monoxide as opposed to oxygen bound.
Doctor, I just want to ask you, was it not detected or was it 8% in Jennifer?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It was not detected in this case. I'm thinking of Jesse.
And with regards to that finding, again, what, if anything, did that mean?
So, again, I will try to give you guys a warning when I think they are going to turn over to talking about Jesse Caneiro, Paul's nephew, who was 11 years old. But heartbreakingly and just monstrously, demonically, these children were still breathing and did have signs of carbon monoxide and smoke inhalation. That means that he left them in that house. Look, I am not going to say allegedly anymore. I think the state has done a pretty damn good job of all but showing a selfie with Paul near the bodies in a gas can.
With regards to this particular case?
So to me, that means that Jennifer was not breathing at the time her body was burned. So that was what we call post-mortem thermal injuries. So she was not breathing, meaning not inhaling that carbon monoxide gas into her lungs.
I'd like to discuss number 2 with you, wound number 2, where it says gunshot wound to head. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now, prior to your internal exam, and you may have said it, were x-rays taken in this case?
Yes.
Were you able to determine anything from those x-rays about the head area?
So I was able to see that there was something called radiopaque, meaning it appears dark on an x-ray on the right side of her head. You can only kind of see the general area, you don't know exactly, and there did appear to be some skull fractures as well.
You indicated that photos were taken during the course of this examination. I'm going to show you, and let me just ask you, was that of both Jennifer and Jesse's autopsies? I'm going to show
Standard
you,
procedure for every case.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S1H.
I have me on solo button because we have seen pictures, so I will
Ask you,
pull myself
doctor,
up
if you could
only.
take a look at these the
Jesse.
photos. I'm sorry, yeah, just all of
All
them,
of
and let me
them.
know
Okay.
if you recognize those.
Yes, these are photographs of, that were taken at the autopsy of Jennifer, as well as Jesse.
And are the two body diagrams also in these photos as well?
They are, yes.
Thank you. And do those photos fairly and accurately depict how Jennifer and Jesse's bodies looked in those pictures at the time when you performed their autopsies?
They do.
At this time, the state would seek permission to publish photos.
Any objection?
Could we just approach briefly?
Sure.
Okay, we are going to take a quick break because we need a quick break. So, just for a little break. Paula, you didn't miss much. We are at medical examiner. It does look like there are going to be two medical examiners. This first medical examiner, they are starting on Jennifer Caneiro. I will be going to Mad Libs after we get off of the medical examiners. Or maybe when we're on cross for the defense, so we don't have to pay attention to him. But just a little palate cleanser while we take a bit of a break. Why does this look like
Wasn't
something
really
my
using
dog-
my thinking cap during this one.
Well, you had a steak. That's
I
just...
told my dog no barking in the store. She ate it in seconds.
Oh, I want a dog
Milk,
again, but I'm a terrible dog
pasta,
mom.
eggs, mayo, cocaine. Just kidding.
No more spaghetti nights in this house.
Rufus.
Look, a good dog
Good
is waiting
boy.
his turn. The feral is eating.
A dumbass bitch?
Sit down.
She doesn't
Okay,
feel guilty at
no.
all.
That would be the only reason I would get another dog. To train it to do that.
Touch me. Sit down. Look at you.
She's proud of
You're a
herself.
mess.
Look, I made a mess.
Get out! Out!
Okay, that was the only thing Fry did that made me think he had any little bit of husky and not German Shepherd in him, because we would get into arguments. Like I would try to be mean and I'd be like, get out of here. Get down off the bed. And he'd be like, and I was like, don't you curse at me. You get down off the bed. And that worked until he got bigger than me.
He was very curious about what was there.
Oh no.
Yeah, bye.
Boy. Oh my gosh.
Oh no, I want a puppy.
We had to wash her for half the day.
Oh, but not a...
Sammy.
Look,
Sammy.
no. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program, but we're basically watching Sweater Vests. And who the hell wants to watch
Forward if
that?
you want to show pictures on the screen.
I think that's slide 33. Doctor, what is this that we're looking at?
So this is a photograph of the screen in my old X-ray suite of an X-ray of Jennifer's head, neck, and upper shoulders.
Now, did you make any, you said it before, but did you make any notations or notice anything in this particular X-ray?
Yes, and it's important to note that left and right are flipped, so you can see the faint R up at the top. So in the right side of her head, there are several, again, what we call radio opaque objects. I don't know what these are until I remove them. I just know where they are so I can find them. And I also see evidence of skull fractures on the right side.
Would you be able, if you could, just circle both of those areas just so we can kind of understand where they're located?
And I know I've said it before, but I really like this technology. I like the use of it because, look, I know just enough about medicine to be incredibly dangerous. The Dunning-Kruger effect would be evident if I tried to go into medicine. I think I'm smarter than I actually am. And these jurors don't know. So being able to have an expert point out and circle and label what they're talking about, I would imagine would be something that every jury would like.
Okay, we'll print that as slide 33.1.
Thank you, Judge. Once this is printed, if we could have.
Dr. Toma, can you do me a favor? In the bottom right corner, there's an undo button. If you hold it down, or yeah, either way. Thank you.
We can have slide 37, please. Okay, Doctor, what are we looking at?
So this is a copy of the body diagram
Well,
that
thank you for
I took
stopping
my
by,
notes
Tim.
on for this case. You can
Timothy?
see
Sorry, some
Jennifer's
people
name
don't
at the
like-
top, that unique case number, which in her case is 13181299, as well as the autopsy date, my initials, and my tech's initials.
Now, is the injury that you just noted with regard to her head, is that notated on this diagram anywhere?
It is, yes.
Where is that?
So up at the top, should I circle it?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So, or I'll underline it. So I noted where I recovered that radiopaque object, which turned out to be ballistics material, from her head.
And if you could describe where specifically on her head that was located?
Sure. So this is page 3, about halfway down the page, under site of lodgement. So I'm going to use the anatomic word and then show on my body too. So the right parietal.
I love this expert. This expert, she's using the terminology, the correct thing. So if the jury is to open the report, she's also giving a visual clue. So it makes it easy. A lot of medical terms are mystifying if you don't know Latin or sort of the prefixes and suffixes that indicate certain things. So I like this expert.
Scalp, so that's the scalp that is near the top of the head. This is frontal, this is temporal, this is parietal. So that bullet and fragments were recovered from directly underneath that scalp, as well as the parietal bone. The bone has the same name as the scalp region that it's over.
You swamped up donkey snake. Paul, you couldn't even look this woman in the face. You had to shoot your brother from behind. You had to take out the mother of your nephew and niece from behind. And then you face those children. You are the reason that due process exists, because if we were to give into our emotions right now, it would be more Batman than habeas corpus.
Now, was there a trap associated with this injury?
Yes.
And what does that mean, I guess, first of all, trap?
Sure. So when we're documenting gunshot wounds, we document an entrance, we document an exit if there is one, or a site of lodgement if the bullet did not exit. We follow the pathway of the bullet from the entrance wound through the body, and that's called the track.
What, if anything, can you say about the course and direction?
So in this case, the skin that would have contained the entrance wound or would have shown the entrance wound externally was not present. It was burned away. So I was able to just see some fracturing on the base of the skull in the region of the right ear. So I was able to see that that was where the bullet had entered the cranial cavity, or it struck the cranial cavity. I could not see it on the skin because it was no longer there. It then went through. It was a tangential wound, so it didn't go in and pass through a bunch of structures in the brain. It was very at an angle, like this. So it was a very shallow wound path.
Now, you indicated that some ballistic fragments were recovered.
Yes.
If we could please have slide 5.
Can we have that one printed? 37.1? Excuse me, yeah, 37.1.
Doctor, this is slide 35. Can you tell us what this is?
So this is a fragment or a photograph of the deformed lead core that was the main projectile on that X-ray and that was recovered between the scalp on the right side of the head.
We could have slide 36, please. And how about this, doctor? What are we looking at?
So this is the copper jacketing, as well as the bone fragment here that was recovered within the brain itself. So some bullets have copper jacketing and a lead core on the inside. When bullets that have these characteristics strike bones, especially thick ones at a certain angle, I see this a lot where the core and the jacket become separated. So this is the largest fragment of the jacket that I recovered from within the brain itself. There were 2 other smaller fragments that were in the wound track.
What, if anything, was done with those 4 fragments that you mentioned?
So each one we collect, photograph, and place into a
I need
labeled
an
envelope.
emotional support cat. He's
Can we
like,
preserve 36.1, please?
he's like, Dad is coming downstairs. He'll save me.
Doctor, I'd like to move on now to wound number 3 that you note. What is that?
So wound number 3, and that's at the bottom of page 3, is a stab wound of the left lower chest.
In your report under wound number 3, where it says the exact wound characteristics cannot be ascertained due to the absence of the overlying skin, do you see that? What does that mean?
So the wounds on the front of the body, the anterior torso, a lot of that skin was no longer absent due to the thermal effects, the fire effects burning the skin away. So the first surface that I encountered externally was actually some of the underlying musculature and underlying fat under your skin.
If I showed you your the diagram, the body diagram, would you be able to point out all of the subsequent bat wound and the subsequent stab wounds on that diagram? Yes. If we could please have slide 37 again.
So it does seem like the initial bullet wound was too shallow to lead to an instant unaliving. So Paul used. You are such a twerp, Paul. You are an infected anal fistula.
Okay, so this injury that you just referred to, can you point this
Don't
out
look it
for
up.
us?
So it's A on the diagram and A in the report. Sorry.
Thank you, doctor. We can move on to number 4. What is that?
37.2.
Fair point, UK.
So number 4 is the stab wound of the left lower abdomen.
And where is that located on this diagram?
That is B. There.
And what, if anything, did you note about this particular wound?
So this is similar to the above wound A, where I could not examine the external features due to the lack of overlying skin remaining.
Now, with regards to these wounds, did you make any notations about the direction of the wounds? And I guess we'll go back if we could. I should have asked you with regard to the first one that you discussed.
It's
the
not
number
fair to
2.
them.
Actually, it would be number 3 in your report.
Yes, so this wound enters the chest cavity on the left side and strikes the left lung, a portion of the left lung. This is from and when I state these directions in any type of injury, I'm simply talking about the body in this so-called anatomic position. So I'm looking at the external injury in comparison to the internal track and describing that relation to the standard body axes.
Loki is not happy with me. No, we need to talk about your guilt. No. We are firm believers in taking accountability for our actions. Would you like to tell the crowd what you have done to every single wig that I didn't hang up. Would you like to explain to them how you go into the litter box after attacking long wigs and then get scared because, well, the automatic litter box goes whir, and if he hasn't digested those long strands, someone gets the poo scared out of them. And I have to do, some kind of freaking pet archaeology over here, and we all have to wash our hands. So, sir, are you guilty? Do you feel badly about yourself? He's like, no. He's like, no, I don't. But thank you for turning the heat on the chair.
Does not mean that anyone was in any particular position. So this went from the front of Jennifer's body towards the back. It went from the lateral or left side of the body towards the midline.
And with regard to number 4, the stab wound of the left lower abdomen that you marked, and that, just to be clear, does that correlate to B? It's hard to see. Does that correlate to B, doctor?
It does, yes.
Okay. Can you just, again, describe the direction of that wound and any other observations that you made about it?
Sure. So this was a shallower wound compared to wound A. It did not enter the body cavity or the inside of the stomach area, what we call our stomach, but the inside of the abdomen, peritoneal cavity. So it did not go through it did go through the peritoneal wall, but it did not strike any of the abdominal organs.
Can you say anything about the depth of that wound?
It was up to an inch, but hard to say because I didn't have the overlying skin.
Now, with regard to wound number 5, what is that?
Wound number 5 is a stab wound of the right breast that I'm indicating here, marked with C on the diagram, as well as in the autopsy report itself, page 4, about halfway down.
And what was the estimated depth of penetration of that wound?
This one went much deeper. It was approximately 3 to 4 inches.
And can you tell us anything else that you noted about this wound in terms of its characteristics?
This wound was associated with injuries to both the middle and lower lobes of the right lung, and there was also, not sure if it'll let me write this. I can't read that, sorry. 900 milliliters of blood in the right chest cavity.
What, if anything, does that indicate?
It indicated that she died choking on her own blood. That's what it indicates.
To you, the 900 milliliters of blood in the chest cavity.
So all of these wounds, with the exception of B, clearly have hemorrhage associated with them, both in the wound tract itself, as well as around defects in the left lung and the right lung, and bleeding into the body cavities, which leads me to conclude that she was alive and actively bleeding while being stabbed, or was stabbed and then could bleed, so to speak.
The direction of penetration of this wound was what?
This is wound 5, so this again is front to back and downward.
We could move on to wound number 6. What is that?
Wound number 6 is a stab wound of the left mid-back. That is here.
The record, we just know that you're noting that.
I'm noting that. Sorry, this is not a very blunt instrument.
And what, if anything, did you note about this particular wound?
So this wound went entirely through the posterior chest wall and entered the chest cavity. I was able to trace tracks in the lower lobe of the left lung. There was 600 milliliters in the left cavity, but because there were defects from both A and D, it could be from one or the other or both.
Can you say anything about the depth of the penetration of that wound?
Yes, this was another one of the deeper wounds with the estimated depth of penetration 3 to 4 inches.
We could move on to wound number 7 now. What is that?
Wound number 7 is a stab wound of the left lower back. It's here on the diagram. It's hard to see, but it's right there.
What, if anything, did you note about the characteristics of that wound?
So this wound, I was able to get a better look at. The skin was preserved, so I was able to give when we describe stab wounds, we describe the length of the wound on the surface of the skin with skin tension. So sometimes the wounds get pulled apart by the natural fibers in your skin. And without skin tension, so I cut around those and sever those fibers so I can get a truer appearance of how long the wound is on the skin surface. So this one was an inch long on the surface, both with and without tension.
Were you able to do that with regard to the other stab wounds?
I was able to do that with the stab wound D of the left mid-back. The other stab wounds on the front of the torso, A, B, and C, again, the overlying skin was no longer present, so I could not give an estimate of how it appeared on the skin.
We could have slide 34, please.
Hold on, so let's print, can you go back for a second? Can we print that as 37.3, please? Now we can move on, and we can just undo that.
And he has not provided motivation. The state did provide motivation with Keith most likely having terminated Paul's, access to the trust. And Paul's house of finances kind of being built on being able to, apropos for this case, rob from Keith to pay Paul. So a lot of his finances were dependent, no matter what the defense says, were dependent. He was living way beyond his means as far as expenditures and personal luxuries. So Paul probably thought this was going to be the end of his life. And it would have just been the end of his lifestyle. But for the end of his lifestyle, that's what the state alleges motivated him to act on that night.
Doctor, what are we looking at here?
So this is the skin of the lower back. This, it's hard to tell because it's zoomed in. Usually the number indicates the feet. I'm not sure this one is. I'm just making sure that if it's D or E. They're both oriented obliquely, and they both have similar external characteristics, meaning they have a length of 1/2 inch, so that's this length, as well as a little tail, so to speak. These kind of irregular wound edges can be produced if, once the knife enters the body cavity, either the person holding the knife twists the knife, or if the person being stabbed with the knife turns away, or a combination of both. So you get those irregular wound edges as the knife changes orientation and is pulled out.
We just have to print that. Can you go back just for 1 second? 34. 34.1. Now you can, yeah, thank you.
Doctor, could you determine, as a result of your examination, whether at the time of her death she was suffering from any natural diseases?
No, I proceeded with the internal examination where I examined all of the organs for injuries and signs of natural disease, and she appeared in good health that I would expect from a 45-year-old.
Okay, so could you determine whether any natural causes contributed to her death?
No, there was no natural disease.
Now, based on your examination of Jennifer and in light of your education, training, and experience, were you able to come to a determination as to the cause or mechanism of her death?
So for the cause and manner?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, I was. Okay, what was
Yes, Falanos, Jesse was the little boy, the one who, based on all the evidence, put up a goddamn brave fight and tried to get away based on all of the signs in the kitchen. So I do think that the state had a pretty good idea to split this between two medical examiners. Unfortunately, that does mean that, I am trying to look ahead. So it looks like we're currently on the second medical examiner in real time. And it doesn't seem like there was a lot of cross for the first medical examiner, thankfully. And it looks like I'll be doing a lot of taking things off of the camera for the next medical examiner. And welcome, Major Mom. Comments aren't pulling up. Usually I pull things up when you guys come in, but StreamYard is being a butt. So I do want to let you guys know that it appears, Felanos, that they might have done something correct. But I do want to let you guys know, once we get done with Jennifer, we will be moving on to Jesse. And if you want to take a little bit of a break, when we do get done with Jennifer, I will be playing another clip, not out of disrespect, but as a palate cleanser, because we're getting into some rough testimony.
The cause first.
So I'm going to talk about mechanism, which I don't normally do because it's not specific, but the mechanism in this case is blood loss. So that's the specific physiologic derangement that causes somebody's life function to cease. So because you can have blood loss from a bunch of different factors, we don't leave that alone on a death certificate, but because the mechanism involves both types of injuries that cause blood loss, the gunshot wound to the head, as well as bleeding internally from those stab wounds, I combined them in my cause of death statement, and I listed it as gunshot wound of head and stab wounds of torso.
And on what did you base that conclusion?
So there was a significant amount of blood in both chest cavities, and so-called softer findings, such as organ pallor. So one of the reasons your skin and your organs appear certain colors that you have circulating blood. So if you're losing that blood volume, you can look very pale, as can your internal organs and your mucosal membranes.
Now, based on your examination of Jennifer, in light of your education, training, and experience, were you able to come to a
Back to the doctor, back to the smart woman who's gonna help put Paul away. I don't want to look at this human gross man who allegedly twisted the knife. I don't want to see Mr. Grossman. I want to see the woman who's going to help, despite the chronic lack of eyebrows. Look, I get that you work with not so living people, but it's like $4. You just swipe it on. It's not even really makeup. It just lets you look less uncanny valley. I don't know why it is my bugbear, but it is. So please, women, if you have blonde eyebrows, just darken them up just a scotch.
As to the manner of the death.
Yes, I was.
And what was that?
So the manner of death is just basically a shorthand way to explain how the cause of death came to be, so it's the circumstances. So since these injuries were inflicted by another person or persons, the manner of death is classified as homicide.
Okay, and then what did you base that conclusion?
In my opinion, she did not do this to herself, and it didn't happen accidentally, and it's not natural because it's injuries.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to go to a bit of a palate cleanser before we get into more heartbreaking testimony. This is more like my house than I want to admit, but this is the most chaotic farm ever. Or my house.
I heard my baby crying for help. Stop it! I'm coming! I'm coming!
Okay, not the children mounting each other, though there is a fair bit of, well, pride love between the throuple of male cats. So again, this is more like me than in my house than I want to admit.
Put the goat down! Drop the goat! Oh my god.
I know I shouldn't laugh because that poor goat, but the things you have to yell as a parent, like you will yell things that that as you yell them, you realize, what is my life? Why am I doing? Like the things I have had to yell about little boy parts, since having little feral children, little boy children, I have talked about more, well, schmeckle since having 3 boy children than I think anyone, uh, on OnlyFans. Don't touch your schmeckle in public. We don't touch other people's. We don't ask to see other people's. We don't show other people ours. Various and sundry things that I never thought I'd have to tell another human person.
What is wrong with you?
So cows love melon. This is honeydew. Bitch, it's not for you. Back up. Here, baby. They always want to leave you out. I know. There you go, sexy.
Come on, Smokey! Oh boy.
This is youngest most feral doing anything dangerous.
Holy fuck!
I meant to do that.
Waffles! Waffles!
Okay, now I want to get a donkey named Waffles that secretly loves goats and is aggressively friendly with goats.
I know. You have new friends, but they don't want to play with you.
And my 2 youngest most ferals. This is how they fight.
I heard my...
So I was like, oh, someone's seen my house and recreated it with farm animals. All right, back to... again, keep him off the screen.
Doctor, on November 21st of 2018, did you also perform an autopsy on Jesse Caneiro?
I did.
Did you document that examination in a report?
I did.
I'm going to show you and showing counsel what's been marked as S378. Do you recognize that?
So this is the report that I previously looked over and has those same components: the autopsy report, toxicology, investigative report, and additional body diagrams.
Now, what is the date of that report?
So the report was signed on February 1st, 2019.
And does it document the date and time?
Yeah,
that the
take care of
autopsy
yourself, you
Jesse was
guys.
performed?
Yes, I performed the autopsy on November 21st of 2018 at around 2 p.m.
And what was the age of Jesse?
So I was told that Jesse was 11 years old.
And did you...
Paul, you are insufferably gross. And I hope that the jury takes 5.5 minutes and tells the judge, no, sir, we haven't deliberated. We just paid attention to the state's case. Can we vote now?
Take notes on a body diagram with respect to Jesse's autopsy.
Yes, I did.
And if I showed you that diagram, would that assist in explaining his injuries?
Yes, it would.
Now, we talked earlier about the protocol for performing an autopsy. Were you able to follow that protocol in Jesse's case?
Yes, I did the same basic steps.
During your examination of Jesse's body...
Medical examiner, you got this. Ma'am, we're going to get through this together. As much as they have to disassociate, you can tell that this bothers her, and my heart goes out to the professionals who did this on a daily basis. I can't. I hope she has a way to process all of this that keeps her sane.
Did you note anything about his physical condition, including any clothing, height, weight, etc.?
So, starting at the top, I noted that he was only wearing light-colored briefs that were blood-stained and also very wet. He had no personal property that was on his body, but a blue earring was found within the body bag.
How about his weight?
He was 95 pounds.
What, if any, other observations did you make about Jesse during that external examination?
So he had some, what we...
Damn it. No, ma'am. If you go, I'm a go. I'm going to need you to hold it together because I'm barely... Come on, ma'am. I'm going to need you to... This is almost as bad as the Darrell Brooks trial where you could tell that the medical examiner was doing fine, and then she got to that little boy and you're like, son of a... Everyone wanted to shock Darrell Brooks at that moment for humanity. Come on, ma'am. You got this.
Call skin slippage or loss of the overlying layers of the skin. These can be caused by decomposition where the bonds break down. But in this case, my opinion is that it's caused by exposure to heat, not obviously as direct exposure to as Jennifer's body was, but there was some heat near him. He's has some superficial blistering is another word for it, and there's also some.
And I do want to remind you guys, look, if this goes down to 1, I will watch this. I will be doing a breakdown of this. I will try to clean it up as much as possible at the end of this, since we are on current trial. So if today is going to be super hard for you, I will be doing a breakdown. I would much rather have a 0 viewer count than for you guys to watch something that's going to bother you.
Brownish discoloration, not quite charring, but just some changes of the skin on the body.
What, if any, post-mortem changes did you note about Jesse's body?
So he had rigor that was able to be evaluated. It was moderately difficult to break. He had purple posterior lividity that was slightly blanching, and his body was cool, but both bodies had been refrigerated.
I don't know if you explained it, but just lividity, what is that?
It's pooling of the body's, of the blood in response to gravity. So in whatever position you die in, your heart's no longer pumping.
This is a very good tactic by the state prosecuting attorney to get the witness back on more of a teacher mode. And thank you, JKD Buck. Thank you, everyone who's hanging out. I wish I could make this more tolerable. I wish that Harry Potter magic worked and a couple of words could transform this man into a tadpole.
Pumping, the blood is going to settle downward to, gravitational forces. After a certain, or before a certain period of time, it's still located within the blood vessels themselves. So you can actually push on the body surface and physically move with your hand the blood out of those vessels. It's called blanching. After a certain period of time, those blood vessels themselves start to break down and the blood seeps into all of the other body layers, so the fat, and that's called fixed because it's not in a blood vessel anymore.
So in this case, did the lividity tell you anything at all about Jesse?
Honestly, we document these things because they're part of the standard protocol, but they're very rarely useful in practicality because there's just so many different variations and factors. It's unfortunately not like you see on TV.
Now, on page 2 of your report, do you begin to document Jesse's injuries, both external and internal?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm just referring your attention to the bottom of page 2. How do you generally describe the characteristics of those injuries?
Can you clarify?
Yeah, I think there's 3 different things there, beginning with stab wounds of the torso.
Understood, yes. So in all of my reports involving injuries, I give kind of a summary statement of what type of injuries you see and what general body regions you see them in. So in this case, there are stab wounds of the torso and left upper arm. The torso is just the trunk of the body. An atypical appearing wound of the right side of the chin. I can describe that later. I couldn't classify it into one particular injury category, as well as evidence of smoke inhalation.
Could you please have slide 31 diagram? Doctor, what is this that we're looking at on the screen?
So this is a copy of the body diagram that I used during my external examination. You can see Jesse's name up at the top, his unique case number, which...
No, we're doing this. Paul, y'all, if you don't want to see something that's not safe for work, do not look. But this is going to be Paul's future. And I just want you to get used to it, Paul. I am going for both length and girth. And multiple. Do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It's a circle, Paul. Actually, from today onward, a circle jerk is no longer going to be called a circle jerk. It's going to be called a circle Paul. But Paul, this is your future. I hope, well, the other guys enjoy it. Work on it, because they might pull your teeth if you're not good. And I don't think they'll give you Novocaine. From Moe's mouth to Gen Pop, God's, you know.
Which is 1300, as well as my initials, the date, and my text initials.
Are all of Jesse's wounds, or at least stab wounds, noted on...
They...
on this diagram, or these diagrams that we're looking at?
Yes.
Can you go over them on this diagram for us, just pointing them out, and then we'll go through each one?
Okay. So starting from the left side, there's wound A, there's wound B.
Look at it, Paul. No, at this point, if I'm the judge, I'm putting tape on his eyes and I'm making him sit there like Clockwork Orange. No, don't cover your eyes, you cowardly, dastardly excuse for humanity. You look at this. You look what you did.
And then further down on the left side is wound C. On the right side, the top of the shoulder is wound D. Then moving to the arm, there are 4 different wounds, but many of them are paired because the knife went through one side of the arm and came out the other side. So there's E and F on the bicep, and then there's H, I, J, and K that are on the top of the arm or around the axilla. And then there's also a wound near the left nipple, G.
We could have slide 28, please. Doctor, what are we looking at in general here?
This is a photograph of Jesse's body. You can see his case number up at the top. You can also see this.
Fuck you, Sideways. You don't get to cry, you. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to blast your eardrum. Look, I know what I generally say, but I'm not Oprah or Jesus. So while I say that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't generally as a defendant, fuck this man and his fake tears.
This purple discoloration here, that's lividity.
Of the wounds that we looked at on the body diagram just previously, which of those wounds, if you put in terms of how you characterize them by their letter, which of those wounds are we looking at?
Do you understand that every fucking Kleenex would be coated with cayenne pepper? Like, do not get me... The level of petty that I would do to this man. This is why I can't have power, y'all. I would go full Darth Vader. I would go full Saul. Which is why... No. This is the first time this man has shown a damn tear. No, I'm done.
On this picture.
So this is A.
Kim K, you better stay the hell away from him.
This is C. You cannot appreciate D. It's under
Where would that be?
It's under the black box. This is very roughly the top of the shoulder up there. And then it's, let me look at my report to see if this is E or F.
Don't you cry. You had 20 minutes as you drove over to your brother's house to stop this. Yeah, you would have looked like the biggest schmuck. You would have looked like the crummiest of the crummy who stole from his family. Yeah, you'd look like a real dick. But you know what you wouldn't look like? A monster. At least not to the level you are now. There's not a sweater set in the Gap that's going to save you.
Because the arm is rotated. So this is F.
So in your report, under injury number 1, stab wound, back of left shoulder, do you see that on page 2?
I do.
Which injury does that correspond to on here? What letter?
So this is letter A.
Can you describe for us what you noted about that injury?
Yes, so it's slightly obliquely oriented or at an angle.
Kim K, sit the hell down. He can get his own face wipe. He can get his own snot bubble rag, okay? He doesn't need a mom. He needs Jesus, but Jesus doesn't want to take his phone calls right now. Because you actually have to atone before you get forgiveness.
There's no discernible blunt edge. And these are standard descriptions that we give of these external wound characteristics. The measurement on the skin was 1/2 inch long with the tension, 3/8 of an inch without the tension.
Now, after penetrating the skin, which direction did the knife proceed through?
So this went through the shoulder blade in towards the front of the shoulder and soft tissue of the left shoulder area.
And the estimated depth of the penetration is what?
So this went approximately 3 to 4 inches through
Anything
the body.
YouTube won't
It
cancel.
did not.
Of all the streams to not put on Rumble,
Enter the chest cavity. It was straight through, kind of towards the axle, if you will.
I'm going to refer you to injury number 2 in your report. What does that say?
So this is stab wound of the left upper back.
And can we see that in this photo?
Yes, it's lettered B, both on the photo and in the report.
Can you describe anything that you noted about this injury?
This injury does have some bruising around it, or some hemorrhage of the blood that's entered the soft tissue.
And how is it oriented?
So it's slightly obliquely oriented, but the other direction. It is 1/2 inch long on the skin surface with tension and 3/8 of an inch without tension.
Can you say anything about the direction of penetration and or the estimated depth?
Yes, so unlike in my report, which has a typo, it's actually back to front. The knife goes through the skin surface and struck a spinous process of the vertebral column. These are projections of bone that stick off the back of your vertebra so that muscles can attach to them. So because the knife struck the bone, it only went approximately 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch deep.
We can move on to wound number 3.
and that's not only, that is penetrating into bone. The amount of force that had to, I'm not going to belabor the point. This man is a monster.
In your report, what is that?
So wound number 3 is the C, the back of the left shoulder.
What, if anything, did you note about this wound?
This is of a very similar appearance. It's obliquely oriented. It measures 3/4 of an inch long on the surface of the skin and 3/8 of an inch without tension.
After penetrating the skin, can you explain the direction that the knife proceeded?
Yes, it went through the soft tissue of the back and through the back of the chest cavity.
Okie dokie. We are going to do a quick puppy kitten break. Take a minute. This is just 30 seconds. You guys have power on the pause. Take breaks. Like I said, if you take a break and decide you can't come back, I will have a breakdown. I won't be showing anything. I will be as delicate as I can, but this is going to be rough testimony, I'm guessing, for the rest of the day.
When the world feels like like a dumpster dive, and humans forget how to thrive. Take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
And Loki is back. He just got done leaving a hairball somewhere in my room that I'm surely going to. Sir, any. No, the computer doesn't love you like that. We've talked about this. The monitor, the printer, they do not love you guys back. We've talked about this. All right, deep breaths. Let's get through this.
Entered the chest, but there are no injuries that I saw to internal organs in the left side of the chest.
I'd like to move on to injury number 4. What is that?
That's D. That's the one that is obscured by this black box.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you know about that injury?
So this injury has a different appearance. It's an inch and a half long with tension and an inch and a quarter long without tension. The wound edges are slightly irregular, leading me to think there's more of that pulling of the knife and or twisting of the body while this injury is happening.
And is that different from the other injuries that you just described?
The appearance is different, yes.
We can go back to this page. Oh, we have to, I'm sorry. If we could capture this piece.
That's 28.1.
Doctor, if we could move on to injury number 5 now in your report. What is that?
So this is a stab wound of the left upper arm and chest. And I should point out these next 3 wounds are all closely approximated on the body. So they're all involving the left shoulder or upper arm and involve a trajectory or a track that enters the axilla or armpit, as well as the chest, both in the axilla and then on the chest itself. So meaning to me that his arm was held in a position where it's against his chest, because I can follow 3 separate wound tracks.
He was hugging himself, Paul. I hope you feel like a big, strong, damn man.
In that direction.
So are you saying that the wound would have gone through the arm and come out the other side?
Several do, and then are associated with almost a re-entry stab wound on the torso. So went completely through the arm, and then the knife went straight into the torso.
Understood. Now, Doctor, the slide that we just looked at, were you able to see those wounds on that picture?
I could see wound F, which is the inside of the upper arm. The arm is very tricky because I'm observing someone in this position, but obviously they can move their arm all around, and it can be difficult to measure as well as document the inside of the wounds. So I have a lot of pictures of different orientations so I can see which wounds match up to which wounds.
Now, Doctor, of the pictures that you and I looked at, is there another picture that depicts those wounds that you just referred to?
Yes, I believe there's at least one picture that gets a large, most of the groupings of the wounds.
If we could please have slide 29. Doctor, what are we looking at?
Okay, so this is the left upper arm. So
yeah, I don't know what Core
we are
TV
not
is doing.
seeing that wound on the back of the arm. That's lower down. This is just the very top of the shoulder and upper arm. And these wounds actually all connect. So this
Christ,
is...
Paul is crying and I don't care, but there is a picture up there that you guys don't want to see. But I don't give a good goddamn that Paul is crying. But I am trying to fill you in on what's going on.
Sure, I have the right one here. That's H. Yeah. This is wound 4.
So the line that you have, the purple line with arrow,
I will say I think Court TV is being able to show some of these pictures because the state has done a good job of cropping out the face and other parts. Absolutely, you guys can head out. I am trying to keep pictures off. There are a lot of pictures of Keith. I have been scanning ahead, so you'll be seeing me for a lot of the afternoon.
Outermost one, I'll let you say.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
It's hard just with the one photograph and not seeing the zoomed out picture to orient.
So you have I, K, and J.
Yes.
Now is that the order? Is that the order of the wound, sort of, in terms of entry?
So the knife entered the outside of the upper arm, went through the front of the upper arm, so in front of the, just make sure. It didn't hit the humerus. It went through the muscles of the upper arm, exited out the inside of the upper arm, and I'm retracting the arm out so you can see.
I will say Court TV has done a good job of not focusing on Paul's family as much as I have called out their inappropriate smirking and kikiing in the past. I'm glad they're not focusing on on Paul's family.
That this wound J represents a wound back into the axilla. So in reality, this picture is taken like this so you can appreciate all the wounds, but the wound path is actually like this.
Doctor, in your report, do you make certain notations about each of these wounds in your report?
I don't understand the question.
I'll refer to you. So, wound number 5 in your report.
Yes.
What is that wound refer to on this picture?
So wound number 5 is not visible. That would be down here. An F would be down here. So that's a lower down stab wound that is not visible in this one photo. Where the knife went completely through the muscles of the back of the arm and exited out the front. After that, when you line all of these wound tracks back up, it lines perfectly with the stab wound in the left chest.
Doctor, if we can move on, and I want to get to that, but to wound number 6, what is that, and do we see it on here?
Wound number 6 is right here. This is H. This is the stab wound of the left upper arm. It's quite close to the top of the shoulder. This is one of the more atypical appearing, or not atypical, but one of the larger wounds on the skin surface. It measures 2 inches long with that tension and 2 1/4 inches without the tension. And this is another wound that it's difficult to appreciate on this photo, the exact pathway, because that knife actually goes in the arm and just travels through the musculature of your axilla and your upper arm. So it looks like it's connected to some of these, but it's actually just the knife goes in, doesn't come back out.
And then wound number 7, do we see that on this photo?
Yes, this is this complex of wounds that I highlighted here.
The IKJ.
Yeah, so IKJ, yes.
Okay, go back to the diagram.
Hold on, don't do that yet. Slide 29.1, please. All right, doctor, we could clear that, please.
Doctor, on this diagram, the third one down, facing the photo to the right, where it says G.
Yes.
Can you just tell us about that? Because I don't think we saw that one.
No, that's not represented in any of the pictures we have. This is associated with these wounds here, E and F. So that's also under.
And I do appreciate that the state is being very judicious. I noticed that they've only pulled up one picture or one or two pictures of Jesse for things that they absolutely need to show, but they are trying to be very they cropped out a lot. If you guys want to go back and see it, it's not a pretty picture, but they cropped out a good deal so you could only basically see the arm and where things lined up. So I appreciate the state doing everything they can to make this as easy for the jury as possible.
That is supposed to be a Roman numeral V. So this is the knife going through the upper arm into the chest wall. And after this went through the chest wall on the left, it entered the chest cavity, but did not cause any internal injuries other than some bleeding into the chest.
Thank you, doctor. And then, was there another wound that you know in particular? I'm looking at wound 8.
Yes.
Is that on this diagram?
It is not on this diagram.
Okay. Is it in one of the pictures that we looked at?
Yes.
If we could please.
Can we print 31.1, please? So E, F, and G are all part of this, a single wound.
Yes.
Just erase that when you get a chance, doctor, and then we'll look at the next. Okay, if we have slide 30. Doctor, what are we looking at in this slide?
So this is this wound 8, wound of right chin. So the feet are towards this way. This is the mouth is up here. Okay, the head would be towards the top of the screen. And this wound is very shallow. It does have some features that I would lump in the gunshot wound category. So it's got a central punched out defect. As I say, gunshot wound, entrance wound category. And then this, so this is the hole. And then this is what we call a margin of abrasion, meaning that the bullet struck the skin at an acute angle and scraped the skin off. But because this is such a shallow wound and there's no track in the body, I was not comfortable classifying it definitively as a gunshot wound. But with this appearance of the outside, and there's a depressed fracture of the underlying mandible of the jaw, I think this is very reasonable to believe that this is some type of what we call atypical gunshot wound.
Doctor, can you just orient us on yourself? Whereabout is that wound?
So it's about here.
Thank you.
For the record, the doctor pointed to the right side, just below her lips, down towards the bottom part of her jawbone. Slide 30.1.
I don't get it. The state had all of this against him. For one moment of his incredibly selfish life, he could have spared his parents this, his brother this. If he had any care or concern for his daughters, he could have saved them this. They didn't have to know what a monster their father was. They could have lived in the ignorance that, well, dad just got set up, and they could have stayed and not had to hear all of the evidence of your extremely poorly constructed crime.
Doctor, did any of the stab wounds that you described or the wound to the chin hit any major organs that would cause immediate blood loss?
Not immediate fatal blood loss or fatal organ injury, I should say.
Now, after you note these particular injuries, your report goes on to discuss the internal examination. I'd like to draw your attention to page 5 where it says neck. Do you see that?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you note about this area?
So as I did in Jennifer's case, I removed the entire respiratory system in block, tongue, trachea, bronchi, lungs, and opened that up so I can see if there's any soot deposited anywhere in the breathing pathways. So this had a small amount of dark colored material that was a little bit further up towards the, near the vocal cords. So towards the top.
Did that mean anything to you?
Again, this is a soft sign that somebody was alive at the time of a fire, bringing in that particles, those dark particles, that soot.
Doctor, your report goes on to discuss your examination of the respiratory system. Do you see that?
I do.
And what, if anything, do you note about that, or did you note?
So further down where the trachea splits into the vein stem bronchi, going to the right and left lung, there was some similar appearing dark material there.
Now, what, if any, testing was conducted with respect to smoking?
Bless her heart. I don't know how she does what she does. I appreciate that she does what she does so we can capture these human monsters. I hope she goes home and has a big old glass of wine or Jose Cuervo or a big old bag of gummy nerds if that is her jam. I hope that she goes and does something nice for herself after today, knowing that she looked at the things that most of us don't have to put these monsters away.
So in addition to a comprehensive toxicology panel, I requested a carbon monoxide exposure screen, as I did in Jennifer.
And what were the results of that?
So this is the result of that 8% carboxyhemoglobin. So 8 of the 100 hemoglobin molecules had carbon monoxide bound to them.
And what does that mean, if you could explain that to us?
First, Best Gigi, we don't know the exact kind of sequence of events, but it did seem that he assumed that they were all deceased and started the fire, cutting the fiber optics cord so that none of the fire alarms or smoke alarms would give that early detection that Paul got at his house. So we're not, the state has never kind of given a sequence other than based on just logic and kind of how the scene looked. We assume that Keith was lured outside by the electricity going off, and since he was found outside with, I think, 4 to 5 bullet wounds, it is assumed that Paul did take his brother's life before going into the rest of the family. No, I don't think so. Or possibly. That's the one thing that I will have to go back and rewatch because I couldn't get a sequence down when I watched it the first time.
So when we have fire deaths, we always send for carbon monoxide. We want to make sure that it is elevated enough to explain the death. Obviously, if we have a death that's billed as a fire death and the concentration is 0, that's concerning that something else happened and the fire was set to obscure that. Lower concentrations can be fatal in people that have significant underlying disease, such as in elderly people with heart disease. It can be difficult to interpret at the lower levels because normal individuals can have anywhere from 2 to 3.5%, depending on which textbook you read, that is just breathing in our environment. People who are smokers.
And here's the thing, Sebastian, the defense could have tailored this defense to, we are going to hold the state to its burden. We are going to make the state prove everything. And it wouldn't have been as offensive as, well, I know you have all this evidence and basically photographs of me, but I didn't do it. It was Corey. That has to be the dumbest. Again, with all that the state has brought in, it was dumb and laughable at the start of this trial. 14 days in, it is like, could you have crafted I mean, at this point, the Shaggy defense, it wasn't me. That's basically what it is.
I've seen reported anywhere from up to 5 to 8%. But so his 8% is in that range, but because I don't have the history that Jesse was a smoker, I believe that this is all from inhalation of that carbon monoxide during a fire.
Now, could you determine at the time of Jesse's death whether he was suffering from any natural diseases?
So after I examined all of the organs and all of the organ cavities, he appeared to be a standard 11-year-old in good health.
Could you determine whether any natural causes contributed to Jesse's death?
There was no natural disease present to contribute to his death.
Now, based on your examination of Jesse Caneiro, and in light of your education, your training, and experience, were you able to come to a determination as to the cause of his death?
Yes.
And what was that?
So in this case, I gave it a cause of death and a contributing cause of death. So similar to Jennifer, his mechanism is blood loss and the inability to deliver oxygen to his organs, but he had while hers was just blood loss, he has the addition of having that carbon monoxide that is going to limit his oxygen carrying capacity. So I listed the stab wounds of the torso and left upper extremity as the cause of death, or the main cause of death, but then the contributing cause of death is smoke inhalation.
And what did you base these conclusions on?
My years of training experience, the autopsy I performed on him, as well as the many other autopsies I performed on both homicide victims and fire victims.
And based on your examination of Jesse and in light of your education, training, and experience, were you able to come to a determination as to the manner of his death?
Yes, I was.
And what was that?
So similarly, these injuries were not self-inflicted or accidental in nature. They're not natural, so homicide. They were inflicted by somebody else or some other set of persons.
And what did you base that conclusion on?
Just the appearance of the wounds, the location of the wounds in the back of the shoulder.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Have a report up there.
I have nothing further, Judge.
Ross? No question. Okay. Doctor, you can step down. Thank you.
And Kim K, you want to see what a strong woman looks like? That's a strong woman. My guess is this woman has kids at home. I'm thinking of my 11-year-old right now. And she is holding it together, and she did her job, and she spoke the truth. So it doesn't matter what majorette outfit you dress in. That is a strong and powerful woman.
State can call the next witness.
Thank you, Judge. The state calls Dr. Alex Zeng.
Now, it will be interesting to see how Paul reacts to Keith, because you will be seeing a lot of this face. They show a lot on Keith that I didn't think that they would show. Now, everything is cleaned up, but it will be interesting to see if he reacts to his brother the same way he reacted so much Jennifer. God, Kim K, don't comfort him.
You okay?
No idea. I think that's the judge who's freezing.
Just come right around, doctor, if you don't mind. Just watch your step as you're going up to the witness stand for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he's going to be for Keith. And
Put your left hand on the Bible, raise your...
y'all, I'm going to be very honest with you. When they get to Sophia, I will try to stay on screen, but look, nicotine can only do so much. That's what my vape keeps telling me. It's like, look, ma'am, I'm not magic. I'm just nicotine. And I'm like, do better. So I the adults were heartbreaking because it's a human life. The kids, especially the little girl and boy, ugh, you're a gross, disgusting swamp donkey monster.
Your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I will.
Okay, you can sit down and be comfortable.
I
Once you're
completely
comfortable, you can
understand.
state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please.
My name is Alexander. Last name is Zhang.
Thank you. Prosecutor?
Thank you, Judge. Dr. Zhang, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us where you currently work?
For the Chief Medical Examiner Office of New Jersey.
Okay, and what is your current title?
I'm acting Chief Medical Examiner.
Okay, for the entire state?
Yes, indeed.
Can you tell us what your current responsibilities are as the acting chief medical examiner?
As Chief State Medical Examiners, I set up policy and also evaluated the doctors and the office to see them follow the policy of like a Medical Examiner Act.
Okay. Now, I want to just approach real quick. I want to show you what's been marked as S379 for identification. Doctor, do you recognize?
I don't know, and I feel if I don't also include Laotian, possibly Korean, I am going to be committing some kind of crime for the Hague. So I'm just going to guess he's not from Indiana. That's about the safest thing I can do dressed up like a literal poster from, well, let's just say Nordic land.
Is that?
Yes, it's my CV.
Okay. Does that document your education, your training, and all your experience?
Yes, indeed.
Now, can I just ask you, as a starting point, to tell us about your educational background?
I graduated from medical school in 1986, almost 40 years ago. I did 3 years pediatric pathology in the largest children's hospital in Beijing. After that, I did like 6 years is like a research fellow, is a American Heart Association fellow in New York Medical College. I did a 4-year resident training, graduated from Thomas Jefferson University, which is located.
And his mom's still mad that he didn't, also take the violin.
In Philadelphia, not far from here. After that, I did a 1-year forensic fellow training in Nashville, Tennessee.
That forensic fellow training, was that in a specific?
Oh my God, y'all. Could you see this doctor hanging out with expert in Valhalla? I could. I really could. I could see him being baffled and confused as to how he got there. But I could see us hanging out, having fun. We'd take him to Dollywood. Again, he'd be baffled and confused as to what path his life had taken, but we'd get along just fine.
The discipline of medicine?
In the forensic sites.
Okay. Doctor, when we talk about the fact that you're a medical doctor, correct?
Correct.
What is your particular specialty?
I was trained in the field anatomic pathology and also in the field clinical pathology, and also I was in the in this specific topic is forensic pathology. By the way, I'm board certified physician in that 3 fields.
Right. So anatomic pathology.
His tiger mom is so exceptionally proud of him. I okay, I know this is going to sound awful, but I was glad I wasn't born in a culture that really uh demanded excellence in both math and spelling, because I would have been a legitimate disappointment to my parents had I been born in a culture that required me to do advanced math. I just I- I'd be Could you imagine Asian tiger mom dealing with Mo? My mom is regular rural Indiana, you know, mom, and she's still confused about my career and life choices. I can only imagine, my adopted Beijing mom. I disappoint two parents on a deep level. Sorry, I am avoiding this. Let's go.
Pathology, clinical pathology, and forensic pathology.
Correct.
Can you just
Oh,
first tell us what?
Tammy, I know you just came in. We are on medical examiner testimony. We have gotten through 2 of the 4 autopsies. We are now going to be going into Keith and Sophia. So I will be taking breaks, but also at the end of the afternoon portion of the next stream, I will be doing a breakdown of just kind of what went on today. Excuse me. If at any time you need to take a break.
Pathology is generally, and then what forensic pathology is?
Yes, it's a pathology, generally speaking.
Okay.
They make diagnosis.
We're going to skip through his CV. I am sure that his mom is very proud of his GPA.
Such, for example, it's a gunshot-related case. We'll do the body X-ray to identify any bullet. So, in general speaking, we'll talk about the first, know what's happening, and second, do whatever studies they need to do before the autopsy. Then third step, I want to make sure, then the third step, we can see the autopsy. But for the first step autopsy, I want to check, now the body is evidence. So I want to see integrity of the bodies. The bag is, we have like a seal numbers around the bag. We make sure that seal number is intact. If a seal number is not intact, that means potential body was contaminated or damaged. The evidence can be potential damage.
I want to walk you back a step or two. Can you tell us when?
Okay, would it be wrong for me to, as a state prosecutor, ask him to say emotional damage? I know it's from community. I know it's not appropriate. This is why I couldn't be a judge. I was like, could you just for me, I just need to record it for a ringtone, but could you say emotional damage? I don't know. He'd probably get in trouble with, the CCP, so maybe I wouldn't ask him that.
You first started your career as a medical examiner, and where?
Yeah, I started medical examiners in Phoenix, Arizona.
And approximately how long did you work there?
It's almost 3 years.
Okay. Was there a point in time thereafter that you moved to the state of New Jersey?
Yes, indeed. After that, I did.
Arizona, God's butthole to New Jersey? Who is your travel agent? I am sure New Jersey is great, and I am sure the people that live in Arizona love it, but it is too hot. It is too hot. I don't care if it's a dry heat. Look, I am not a roast. I don't need a dry or moist heat. I don't need to be. Their trash cans melt on the road.
It's almost 3 years in the Northern Regional Medical Examiner Office, which is located in Newark. They dealing the 4 counties in that specific office. Most, especially serve the county of Essex, Hudson County, Passaic County, they have high concentration homicide case. And certainly in the Phoenix, they have a much high volume of homicide case in that specific county. It's a high volume.
After your time at the northern region,
I thought we
medical
had gotten
examiner's
it.
office,
Middlesex County. Now in
as a forensic pathologist, and okay. Now, during the course of those 5,000 autopsies, approximate, was the point of that to come up with or determine cause and manner of death?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and as a result of those approximately 5,000 autopsies, were you ever asked to testify in a court of law regarding conclusions that you made?
Yes, indeed.
And have you ever qualified?
Okay, was that the first phrase that he learned? Yes, indeed. I've just noticed that he uses it a lot. So maybe he just didn't want to always say, yeah, sure, or something that might be just his kind of phraseology. I tend to notice those things when I'm trying to desperately avoid getting into a subject. Sorry. I will do better. One day.
As an expert in forensic pathology?
Yes, indeed.
Approximately how many times?
It's 250 to 300 in that capacity.
Have you qualified as a forensic pathologist, an expert in forensic pathology in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, indeed.
Have most of those qualifications been in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, yeah, and also some in the federal court, in the New Arizona and here, and some cases I was in the Phoenix area.
I just lastly wanted to ask you briefly, you talked about some training that you received in Beijing, China, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and what was that specific training that you did there?
That is like after finishing medical school, I was in Beijing Children's Hospital. Again, that is in back up like 35 years ago, or 36 or 7, like 40 years ago. That time the hospital around 5,000 to 6,000 outpatient, and my personally did a baby autopsy each year around 250 cases.
You said baby?
China. Okay. 250 a year? I get that China has a lot of people, and maybe that's a lot. Like, a lot. Okay. Medical examiners are a different breed. Must remember this. They are able to disassociate. This is a medical job for them. Maybe don't smile when you talk about the amount of autopsies you did for the CCP, though, sir. It's not going to look good for the tourism board.
Autopsies?
Yeah, children autopsies. I'm sorry.
No problem. Now, Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer Dr. Zhang as an expert in the field of forensic pathology and determination of cause and manner of death.
No objection.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard me give this charge about an hour and a half ago. Does everybody remember that charge? Yes. Okay, thank you. I'm not going to give that to you again, considering I just gave it to you this morning. Dr. Zhang will be qualified as an expert in forensic pathology and determination of cause and manner of death. Prosecutor.
Thank you, Judge. Now, Dr. Zhang, obviously you're here to testify about a certain case, correct?
Yes.
And obviously that involves the death of 4 individuals. Did you perform any of these autopsies?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And how many autopsies did you perform in this case?
I did 2 cases.
Okay. And Dr. Toma did the other 2?
Yes, indeed.
Now, just to be clear, at that time, were you and Dr. Toma working in the same office?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I just want to first talk about the autopsy of Keith Caneiro. I'm going to approach and show you what's been marked as S380 for identification. Do you recognize that?
MK, don't leave your face like that.
Yes.
The Botox is gonna.
Is that your report? And also some notes, some toxicology results, and a body diagram?
Correct.
I just want to show you also what's been marked as S1H. We've discussed that some photographs were taken during the course of the autopsies of Jesse and Sophia Caneiro. Is that accurate? Can you just look and tell me if you recognize all of these photographs that are contained in here?
I do like, again, how respectful the state has been to even thinking about the binder and having a, blacked out page. So these pictures, this state has been so incredibly respectful of
Yes.
of this. And I appreciate it very much.
With respect to the autopsy of Keith Caneiro, can you just walk me through how the initial steps of the autopsy, from the beginning, starting with X-ray and external examination?
Yes, I previously already talked the
Yeah.
initial state. Now we talked specifically regarding autopsy. So when we make sure the seals are intact, we open the body bag. Normally, we'll take pictures, just show the condition which we receive, and also collect evidence which relevant to each specific case. After that, we'll take out the clothes, then clean the bodies.
The state is mother effing brilliant. It was hard enough to get through the first autopsies with the first medical examiner, and she did a damned brave job. But like everyone, you could tell that this bothered her. I get such more a doctor read from him that it's my brain is going clinical. I'm just listening for medical terms. So I don't know if this is going to work for everyone, but I feel like I can more disassociate into medical things, at least for Keith, with this particular witness, than I could with the other. And I don't know what that says about me.
To identify any injuries, any natural disease. After that we'll do called internal examination. Basically, we open the head, chest, abdomen. If necessary, we also do the dissection in certain parts, if necessary. So after the autopsy, we'll send histology, toxicology, which is related to the case, to the further studies. In certain case, we can reach immediately the causal death and the manual death, and certain case will pending the further studies until get the whole information back. Then we call the causal death and the manual death.
Now, Doctor, you have S380 in front of you. I'm going to direct your attention to page 2. And I'm just going to ask you whether or not, during the beginning parts of the examination, you noted the general physical condition, height, and weight of Keith Caneiro.
Yeah, he's 67 inches tall, 201 pounds. The weight, appearance around 50 years old.
Okay. Now, did you also, I think you talked about clothing. Did you take note of the clothing that Mr. Caneiro had come to the medical examiner's office in?
Yes, indeed.
Could you talk about those items?
One is a black winter jacket with hoodies. There's
We're going back with that. I feel like his saying with the hoodies, and he's okay. I love this man. I don't know what it is about him that I can turn on my clinical brain and kind of stay out of my emotional brain. And the way he said hoodie was just cute.
The jacket with the hoodies. There's a large amount of blood inside the hoodies, and also multiple gunshot related holes around the hoodie area. And also there's a black sweat pants with the blood fluid on the back of left pants without any gunshot holes. And also there's one blue underwear. On the blue underwear, on the upper top of the underwear, there's a defect, which later on identified, which correlated gunshot wound at the lower back and upper buttock area.
You shot your brother in the ass? Like, just when I think you can't get any lower, Paul. You are such a dildo. And dildos are useful and they bring people happiness, so you're not one of those. You're a butt plug.
That one, I didn't identify any third muscle.
So it seems like there was a gunshot wound very close to the small of his back, upper buttock area. I understand that I'm using my heel as a butt, but there you go.
Imprint and the gunpowder around that defect. Another one is a blue shirt, which transferred blood from the top of the t-shirt. And one is a pair of black socks without any blood stains. And one pair of black and white Nike brand shoes. It's possible is faint blood stain on the bottom of right shoe.
Now, you talked about the black hooded jacket that Mr. Caneiro was wearing at the time that you received him, correct?
Yes, indeed.
I just want to very quickly show you what's been marked as test 299 for identification. See the markings on the back of that? Test 299.
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize this jacket?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And did you take notes? Did you take note, as you just talked about, of any defects in a certain area within this jacket?
Yes, indeed.
And where was that generally?
Yeah, just the holes on the back of the hoodie area. Also, you are notice in the right edge of that hoodie, there's a large defect.
Okay. Can I have the back table, please? Can I have slide 10, please? Doc, do you recognize that photo?
Yes, indeed.
And what does that photo show?
Like I mentioned before I start autopsy, the first thing I want to know what's happening. And this case, I was doing other autopsy during the daytime. I didn't went to the scene. But
Sorry, Doc, I just took it down briefly while you were talking.
the investigators went to the scene. So they took photos, reflect what's happening at the crime scene. So we can see, the person lying face down on the grass level. Also investigating report not far from the garage. He was found face down with gunshot wounds.
Okay. Now, Doc, just briefly, can I have slide 11? What are we looking at here specifically?
On the scene photo, actually, you can see the...
I am really shocked. Court TV Art is showing these, I'm going to keep them off the screen, so I will bump up the volume a little bit, and hopefully my mic isn't too loud over it. I am shocked that Court TV is showing these photos. Quite frankly, they would probably get my channel taken down, but the judge seems to have allowed this.
This green is grass. On the hoodie, the right side hoodies, you see a relatively large.
All right, I'm stealing hoodies. I'm calling them, it's a hoodies.
Defect, and if
Sorry, I don't want to leave it up too long. I know you're.
okay.
So, I also want to show you, because you talked about a defect in the underwear, is that correct?
Correct.
Can I have slide 5, please? You recognize that photograph, Doc?
Yes, indeed.
And what are we looking at there?
It's look at the underwear put on the table. Look at on the back of the underwear. There is show the blood stain. More concentrate on the upper portion. There is a.
So the area in your back, if you think about those two dimples some people have on the side of their spine, it's right there, right as your back meets your butt. So your top butt, if you will, the part that's going to be pushed up by a muffin top.
Small defect.
Now, Doc, when we talk about defects, like the one on slide 5 in the underwear and the one that we just saw on the hood of the jacket, as part of your autopsy process, do you try to line up defects in clothing with injuries on a body?
Correct.
Okay, were you ultimately, I'm not going to ask you what that is yet, but were you able to do that at times during the autopsy?
Yes. In this, sometime I'm not 100% sure, but this case, yes.
Now, I want to ask you about the process you talked about, and I know you kind of described how you go about doing autopsies, but in this case in particular with respect to Mr. Keith Caneiro, were x-rays taken?
Yes.
Okay, and can I just, can I have slide 4? Before I ask you what that shows, can you just tell us, like, kind of when these are taken and what the purpose of them is?
This is X-ray. We took the X-rays from front to back. Before autopsy, yes, you can see multiple skull fractures in the head. With you see like 3 pieces, high density object inside. That is due to the fragment of the bullet.
Now, when we talk about an external examination that you conducted upon Keith Caneiro, do you kind of give a summary of that on page 2 of S380, your report?
Summary, which page?
External examination, page 2. Doc, do you see where I'm referring to?
No, I'm not. I'm not sure.
Okay, so the bottom of page 2, is there an area that says external examination?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and part of that would include what you talked about with respect to Keith Caneiro's height and weight as well as his age, correct?
Correct.
And do you make any other observations about his hair, about anything that was found upon his face, or any other injuries at that point externally?
There was a multiple gunshot wound around the head and face, and the face is covered with blood.
Okay. Now, in that photograph, the slide we looked at before, I believe it was slide 11, you saw grass, correct?
Yes.
And did you also see leaves?
Yes.
Okay, and did you see any evidence of that or any remnants of the ground upon Mr. Caneiro's face?
Yes. Actually, there's a dirt inside of on the surface until tongue, and the tea leaf on the left upper lip.
Is it a tree leaf?
The tree leaf, yeah.
Now, as we move on with, your examination, do you note in your report, and did you note it at the time of the autopsy, approximately how many gunshot wounds were observed upon Mr. Caneiro?
There are multiple gunshot wounds, but two of them, I consider two actual gunshot. I think it's a re-entrance wound, and one is 100% sure is a re-entrance wound. Another wound can be another shot. So, so my interpretation, so there are 5 gunshot wounds.
Okay. When you classify 5 gunshot wounds, does that include certain ones where there's entry, exit, and possible re-entry?
Correct.
Okay, so just to make that clear, I want to specifically refer you to the first gunshot that you classified, or the first area of gunshot that you classified in your report at page 3. Do you see that?
Page 3.
We're back to scowling. Notice he didn't try this with the female medical examiner, but he's back to his general scowling.
Yes.
Okay, so you see that. Doc, when you talk about the fact that you numbered them 1 through 5 in your report, you did that, right?
Correct.
Now, do those numbers, do they relate, or are you making any opinions as to the chronology of those gunshots or the sequence of them?
No.
Okay. Is 1 through 5 for ease of explanation, so to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when we talk about that first gunshot wound, could you tell us, can you tell us where it is and the actual wound track and that sort of thing?
Yes, this gunshot wound is in the left lower back on the junction with the left upper buttock, close on the left side, close to the vertebral bodies. There's entrance wound, and there's also on this wound I didn't see third compound sticking or muscle imprints around the wound, and on the right abdomen I see the exit wound. So the gunshot, through the, and another thing that I want to mention to you guys, when I mentioned the direction, the bullet travel, is based on the body is in anatomic position. I'm going to identify what is anatomic position. It's basically you stand still, you face forward, you palm forward, you both feet forward, called the standard anatomic position. Whatever I mentioned.
I do like that he is clarifying this, because a lot of the diagrams and any charting that you'll see will have standard anatomical position. And I like that he's doing more professorial kind of testimony. This is the kind of stuff that my nerd brain can engage and my emotional brain can not.
Direction is based on that, not based on real when the body was shot. The body can move around. The direction also can be changed in certain degree. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving us a lesson. I just love him. Can we adopt him?
To me.
I'm sorry, Doc. So you talked about the gunshot wound number 1. Correct?
Yes.
Where does it enter the body?
It's on the left lower back. Is like a left upper buttock sides.
Okay. And Doc, once that bullet enters the lower back area, where does it go?
You see on the left lower buttock area. So the immediately fractured called the sacrum bone is the middle bone on the pelvic area. The fracture that sacrum bone, then before in front of the sacrum bone is rectum. They perforated the
I'm trying to be mature, y'all. But this might be, if someone could take a screenshot of this, this might be my favorite screenshot of testimony in the most horrible thing ever. Let's go forward. I'm going to attempt to be an adult.
Bone, then perforate the rectum, then the perforate your urinary bladder, and the travel from back to the front, left, right, and also had a little bit upper version. So you see, after perforate the unit bladder, then they perforate a different part of small intestine multiple times, then exit from right abdomen.
Okay, so it comes in the back and ultimately travels to the body, causing the injuries you described. Then it comes out of the abdomen, correct?
Correct.
Once it comes out of the abdomen, where does it go?
The exit wound can just sleeve exit wound. So when they come out exit wound, I identify I classify the re-entrance wound. They have similar shape, slit exit wound on the palm, just beneath the thumb. Then exit on the back of the right hands.
Okay, can I just briefly have slide 6? Doc, do you recognize that?
It's
Doctor, you have you have it in front of you too, if that helps.
It's an entrance wound.
Okay, is that the entrance room on the rear of the lower back of Mr. Caneiro?
Yes, indeed.
Now, can I have slide 7, please? Do you recognize what that shows?
This is the exit wound I mentioned in here. In here in the abdomen.
Okay.
And also I showed the re-entrance wound on the palm surface. So I consider when they come out from here, the hands happen to be in front.
I am actually shocked again that they're showing this. These are cleaner, obviously. But when I started watching trials, these photos wouldn't have been shown. I don't know if there have been a loosening of the guidelines or this judge is just more lenient on what can be shown.
On the bodies, they re-entrance from palm surface, then exit from the back of right hands.
Ronald, can we preserve that as 7.1? Thank you.
Sure.
And Doctor, on the bottom of the screen, once that you hear that printing, you can hit undo. Then can I have slide 8, please? Do you recognize what that shows?
Yes.
Okay, and what does that show?
Again, show the when this wound is come out and also show the show the exit wound on the back of right on the back of the hands.
So, Doctor, despite seeing marks of injury on the lower back, the right abdomen, the inside of the hand, and the outside of the hand, is it your expert opinion that this is one gunshot?
Yes, indeed. But certainly, if this case, this specific the gunshot is my opinion, can be. I'm not 100% sure. There's no addition one shot through the hands.
Now, also on page 3 of your report, you talk about gunshot number 2, and that is in a different area, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us what that second gunshot is?
The second gunshot wound is basically I use my body to demonstrate. Is the gunshot wound on the right lateral neck. The exit from the right medial neck and the re-entrance wound from the right lateral face and exit from the right cheek area.
Can I briefly have slide 13? Doc, does that photo assist with the identification of
Yes,
entry and
indeed.
exit?
Yes, indeed.
Can you see the entry and exit wounds on that photograph
Yes.
for gunshot 2?
Yeah.
You marked them with the...
Yeah, indeed. So we now look at the face from the right side. Look at the face. You can see entrance
They are
wound
showing the
on the
face.
right neck. They exit from the right lateral medial side neck. Re-entrance in here, then the bullet travel to here. So the bullet exit from the right cheek area.
Can we preserve that, please? 13.1.
13.1.
All right, slide 18. Now, Doctor, do you recognize what slide 18 shows?
It's yes, indeed.
What is it?
It's the body diagram, which during the autopsy identify where's the injury, the location, the measurements.
Is that something that was created by you, all that writing?
Correct.
Now, with respect to that second gunshot, can you just identify via the diagram potentially where you noted the wounds associated with gunshot 2?
Hey, Sticky Widget, we are in the middle of autopsy, testimony. So we are currently on Keith. There has already been a different medical examiner that came for Jennifer Caneiro and Jesse, the 11-year-old boy. So we will probably not get done with this before I have to leave to pick up the Farrells. And I will be changing because as comfy as this outfit is, it's cold. And I don't know how this was a winter outfit because the cape. Look, I'm just saying Westeros must have been like Florida in winter. So.
Yes.
And there's a pen there, Doctor.
I'm sorry, my hands shake. I mean, that like entry down there. It is shot from there. The shot from right. Yeah.
Just put a number 2 under there somewhere.
Doctor, can you put the line?
Oh,
back?
I'm
'Cause
sorry.
We're going to preserve that.
I'm sorry. I can
That's okay.
put there. Number 2 is in here. Gunshot 2. The entrance wound, I use arrow on the right lateral neck. Then direction is from here. Sorry. Language. It's not very sensitive, but anyway, I'm not going to line the line, just confused. You see from the right lateral neck, the exit in the right cheekbone area.
18.1.
Thank you, Jim. Now, I want to move on to page 4 of your report. You talk about the third gunshot wound, correct?
Yes.
Can you explain where, can you undo that? Just hit that little undo button. That third gunshot wound, can you tell us where that was located?
Is this on the right lateral face? I use the dots. Yeah, I use my fingers, not pinpoint my lateral face. There's a entrance wound on the right lateral face.
Doc, can we just preserve that, sir?
18.2.
I'm going to ask for slide 13 again. Doc, does that photograph assist in the identification of that?
Thank you. Yes. You can see on the
Sorry. I'm trying to tell you. So he's got one wound right here. He's got another wound right about here. One still muted? How in the hell? Oh, you guys are a little bit behind me. So basically, they go all the way to his ear and then about an inch behind it. And then there is another one that might be an exit wound towards behind his ear and right about here on his head.
Right lateral face, slightly below the right ear. On the face, you can see there's a relatively large irregular abrasions on that wound. It's just upper, is in here. I'm sorry, now I can. That is number 3 entrance wound.
Okay, and we could preserve that. Where does that wound,
Slide 13.2.
Doctor, where does that wound ultimately exit, the third one?
So this wound is travel from right to the left, and also this wound also from the slightly upper angles,
Well,
and
Gemma,
exit from.
they are flashing up pictures, the actual autopsy pictures. So I'm trying to keep the court going and not show things that apparently court TV can show, but will get my channel nuked.
The left side of the face.
Can I have slide 15, please? Doc, you could just hit undo on this one. Do you recognize what we're looking at here?
Yes.
What are we looking at?
This is, I just mentioned, the shot on the cheek, lower cheek area, the travel from right to left and from bottom to right side. We can see there is a irregular axis wound we call short axis wound. They are located on the left side face, just from the left lower ear. The reason called short spelling is H-O-R-E-D. The short means is the bullet when they perforate the body, when they exit, they tend to be push the skin out. So normally a typical axis wound, you can see the holes or lacerations. On the surface, you won't see any abrasions. But in this case, they have like abrasions around this axis wound. They can kind of mimic entrance wound. So what's happening is anything is blocked, the bullet come off the skin. The skin surface will be against that object that create abrasions. So this is called short axis wound.
Doc, you can take that down. Now, Doc, with respect to that third gunshot wound, the one that went in the right side of the face with the short exit wound to the left side of the face, did you evaluate that in conjunction with?
Slide 15.1.
We went too fast.
We need to go back, sorry.
Go back to
We
15
didn't get it
first.
fast enough.
Sorry. Doc, could you just circle that wound again? And we'll
We can print that 15.1.
Okay.
Once you hear the printer, then you can hit undo.
I can do it, right?
Yes, you can, doctor.
Doctor, I was saying, did you evaluate that third gunshot injury, the one to the right side of the face, in conjunction with the black hooded sweatshirt or jacket that you described earlier, you saw earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Did you receive any information from the New Jersey State Police Trace Evidence Unit which helped you in making that conclusion?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and ultimately, what was the determination that you made with respect to gunshot injury 3?
After receive that information, I combine the scene investigation. Do you see when the body was lying on the ground with the larger holes on the right lateral hoodie area? And later on, that hoodies, when they sent to the police did a gunshot residue studies. Based on police report, that the large hole is, which later on I associated with the gunshot wound on the right lateral face. Based on the police study, they consider they have residues down. They consider either contact with the hoodies or they or near contact with hoodies when the fire shot. Then I reviewed my autopsy. You remember I just showed that wound. They have regular large abrasions around the entrance wound compared with others. I consider that irregular abrasion may be associated with muzzle imprints. When the gun against your face, you can create irregular abrasions. And also you remember I just showed the short exit, and during autopsy I see the leaves on the upper lip, the dirt on the tongue, and the body was face on the ground. And also I have information. There's initial information. There is a bullet identified on the ground just beneath the head area. So based on all those features, later on, I issue an addendum report. I consider this person already lying on the ground. The fire shot is against or close to the right side face, then push body downward. So the face, left side face against the ground, and create abrasions. And when your face move forward to the ground, you create a compressed area on your left side face, and the dirt push you the contact with the tongue. The leaves had contact with the upper lip. So I consider when this shot fire is the person already lying ground, either dying or already dead. That shot, it's dying since I see abrasion. That means the person now dead. When you fire shot, you can see red abrasions.
Now, Doctor, you referenced an addendum report, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Can I just for purposes of the record, can I just show you what's been marked as S381?
Yes.
Is that the addendum report that you discussed?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, thank you. Now, can I ask you about that fourth gunshot wound that you document in your autopsy report?
Before we do that, we're going to just stop for now for the lunch break. Sheriff's officer, if you don't mind, if we could just move that box.
I muted myself. We are going to pause here. I am going to get into some warmer clothing. I completely forgot, even though I put 2 streams up, I forgot that I have to pick up the ferals today. So we will be having a break. Do be mindful that when we come back, we are going to finish up with Keith and probably be going to Sophia, the youngest victim in this case. So again, if you don't want to join for the rest of this, I completely understand. I will be doing a breakdown at the end of my second stream tonight that will go over kind of what we learned today, just kind of overtones my general impressions, but it won't be the entire testimony, 8-10 minutes. So I understand that this day is as rough, and I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me and letting us go through this absolute tragedy together. So I will see you guys at 3:30. Let me double check that I've actually done this correctly because, you know, it's hit or miss once in a while. And yes, we've got that coming at 3:30. Yes. So I will be back at 3:30 and hopefully we will be ready to go. And like I said, I will have a breakdown so that you guys don't have to watch this. I know it's going to be bad testimony, and Jesse was hard. I think Sophia is going to be even harder. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you in a little bit. Bye, you guys.